Right, so pillow shading. I'm going to be doing a critique of this work, but as well describing what pillow shading is because I made a comment on the work about pillow shading and they wanted to know more information about what pillow shading was. Right, so I'm not really sure where the term came from, but pillow shading is basically when you shade everything as if it has like a central lighting. So let me go with an idea here. Let's go ahead. Okay, I'm on Actual Pixels here, and we'll just draw a quick pillow, kind of like just a quick shape here. Let's say something like this. Okay, now pillow shading is when they shade this object, let's say it has like a color like this here. That's too big of a brush. Let's go down. I want to try to stay at the line somewhat, but I'm not really worried about it too much. I just want to demonstrate a point here real fast. Okay, and if I wanted to, I could take the eraser and just kind of clean up the edges a little bit. Like I said, I'm not too worried about it though. Right, something like so. Right, now what pillow shading is then, I really should try to make all this like solid, but yeah. Right, okay. Sorry, I'm such a perfectionist. So it's like, I don't want it to be, but then it's like, damn it. Okay. So what a pillow shading would be is something like this, where they're like, and there's still stuff out there. Dang it. Okay, so I'll have to do it this way. Try to stay in the lines. Pillow shading would basically be like that, where when they shade it, it just has like a central lighting system, which is very boring. It's like, there, it's shaded, that's a pillow. But instead, the pillow would have to, it'd be better to shade it according to some sort of direction of light. So let's say the light is kind of the 3/4, like a typical light, photographer's lighting. And there's still a selection over there. So this would be the hot spot, right? Somewhere in this area here, if it's a typical photographer's lighting setup. And so for those that don't know what a particular photographer's lighting setup is, the key light is basically coming from. Okay, that's right. It's coming from this direction like this. Right, okay. Imagine the light's kind of coming down that direction. So the cast shadow would be behind the object over here, and the main light source would be there. That's where the brightest part would be. So then we shade the object according to that idea. And you get something more like this. Yeah, oops, that's supposed to be the bright part. That's a little bit more brightness. Right, this is without any sort of texture or anything like that. No, nothing complicated. And the drop shot might be like that if it was just like standing up or something, right? No texture, no folds. Right, something like that. Right now the object looks more 3D. It pops out. Okay, so onto the critique then. So if you color your objects this way, they're going to look kind of flat. And so you want to kind of keep your overall lighting in mind when you're painting. And so for example, you can see the lake here. You can tell the light's probably supposed to be coming up from above and kind of shooting down, especially where the couch and stuff is shaded. Although, if that happened, the shadow of the couch would actually be all the way out here and make it look more like it's, not floating off the ground. Give it solidity around its edges here. And it's actually going to be coming down way back over there somewhere, so all that would be shadowed. If you don't want the shadow that dark, that's fine. Just keep in mind that's how far it's going to be. All these planes of the couch are going to be in shadow because they're away from the light. She's going to be casting a shadow all the way onto the couch like this. It's not just going to be all that's going to be dark. That back there would be dark. Her hair isn't just gonna, it might cast a little shadow down here. It's not gonna cast a way big shadow like that though. All that hair would actually be in shadow as well, so all this part of her body is gonna be more in shadow than anywhere else. All this is gonna probably have light missing from it. You don't want to get too dark with it, but it's giving a quick example. Now, when the shadow here, it's actually going to be greater because the light's coming kind of like straight down, let's say, but maybe it's kind of coming from above, like a ceiling light or something like that, which is one of the most boring kind of lights to use. But nonetheless, all this would be in shadow too, and you would have all this down here in shadow. And maybe I should be painting with multiply just to. I have to do quick one strokes to do this though. And you have degrade, you have a darker part here, kind of like that. So you're going to get something more along those lines when you shade it, and then you have to shade all these things in the same way. The arm, all this right here will be darker. All this right here will be darker. This part would be darker to show the form there. All this side of her face would be darker. All that side of her hair. This side of the pillow would be darker. All that would be dark. The pillow would be more shaded like this. One of the top part would be lighter. Back there, that couch part would be darker and lighter up there. So you get a better idea. Now, I'm going to quickly trace over this and then show the difference if I were to paint it real quickly. That's probably going to take a while. Dang it. Alright, so I just want to give a quick example of what I'm talking about here. So this was done very, very, very quickly. Let's just go ahead and take a color, make it a little bit more desaturated. We'll just make it monochromatic for now. We won't even worry about adding different tones or anything yet. So all this right here is going to be darker because it's going to be back there. So if you just want to like quickly see like how it might be shaded if you were coming down from that light source. This will all be the darkest. This will be dark here. Take a mid-tone here. Maybe take a slightly lighter color. Hit where the light's going to be hitting. Light will be hitting all this. Kind of like the shin bone. A little bit up there. So I'm just giving a quick example, kind of like how the light might be hitting if it's coming down like that. Let's say you have your shadow color here, and this will be a really desaturated color. As it comes down, you might see, it's kind of draw like what that might look like. I think it might look like this. It's going to come up to this part here. Let me think. Just her arm would be, her hand would be kind of like down here. Well, it depends really how high that light source is above her. Let's say something like this, and then her arms would be kind of like that. Some of her arm might be coming down like this. All this right here is most likely, well, some of that won't be, but all this right here will be the shadow from her body here. And probably have like some shadow over here. And it's going to come up onto this plane here of her body. You won't see much of it up there, but you'll be able to see a little bit like that. All that's going to be in shadow of that whole part of the couch and all this part right here. Her body here then is going to, because it's touching here, this is going to come out, even though it's kind of, we won't have it directly above her, because that's just a weird light source anyway. And the shadow would be coming down there anyway, all this down there would be in shadow. And I'm thinking, as the light comes down, all the legs might actually be shown to be in light anyway. All this will probably be in shadow, to be honest. I'd have to do a quick perspective thing to be sure, but Just going off my mind working it, I think so. The couch will be casting that shadow down. Let's see. There might be a little space there. Yeah, then you might have, want to just add the darker parts of the shadow here. All this right here will probably be darker. Some dark parts there. Probably a dark part in there. And so forth. So, and then let's see, your light parts will probably be like here. You'd have some light here coming as it's coming down, hitting all right here. The important part is that when you do your shadow, you think about the whole three-dimensional form of the object. There'll be some, darker shadow right in here. Some shadow for the hair and so forth. All this would be really dark. Anyway, so when you light a system with the lighting system properly, think about form, and form is really important. You have to think about the form of the character, right? Think about the grid, the shape that the leg has, the part that comes out furthest toward us, and the part that comes out furthest toward the light, and all that. Think about all this has form as well. You want to think about the form of the character, and when you think about the form of the character, it better helps you understand how to light the objects that have form. And that will help you deliver something more believable when it's all said and done. Of course, it's really quick and scribbly, but if you were to take the time and repaint it with all this in mind, especially the part of her clothes that go across here, and you were to have all this darker and darker, and then this part lighter, then you'll see a huge difference. And so what will happen then, see, I think I still have that part copied and pasted. Okay, so all this would be darker, this would all be darker, then this here would all be lighter. And so you want to just kind of color it the same way, even though it's wrinkly, but the lights and darks here would be darker, then the lights here would be brighter. And that will give that illusion that this thing is wrapping around her leg. Also, it's kind of straight. You might want to wrap it around more like this. Make it more of an angle shape, and wrap it around. This here, make this kind of maybe start over here more and wrap around, or here and wrap around. Show that it's following the grid line of the body, and that will also make the believability of the form better. All right, so hopefully that helps with what pillow shading is and how to kind of get rid of it, to not kind of paint everything as if it were like center lighting. So choose a good lighting source, and the angle you choose your light, just like a photographer. You have even more freedom than a photographer has, and a photographer takes a lot of time setting up the lights. In fact, he spends more time setting up the lighting system than he does taking the pictures, because it's that important. Your lighting system is important, so invent a good lighting system as if you're a photographer, for the best lighting system for your particular image, and then it'll look really cool. All right, thank you for watching.